Alaska, the last frontier and also known as the 49th state. So you've always dreamed about driving to Alaska from the lower 48, but didn't know where to start, what to pack or expect, or how much it would cost. Well, driving through Canada to get to Alaska can be an amazing adventure. You're guaranteed to see plenty of wildlife and beautiful scenic views all around. But Canada, like Alaska, is very huge and remote, and it does take some planning to avoid any potential or costly mishaps. I put this video together to help future travelers to get a glimpse of what it's actually like to drive the Alaska Highway, also known as the Alcan Highway, and I also included important tips to avoid getting yourself in a bind and instead have a memorable and safe journey. Thank you for support of my channel so I can continue sharing videos and tips on all topics regarding Alaska. Be sure to watch to the end so you don't miss out on some important bonus tips. Canada is a very big country to go through. It takes at least a minimum of 3 days with 2 nights of a hotel, so plan for that. Could take longer depending on how many stops you make. I recommend making a copy of your passport and leaving it with somebody at home, or email it to yourself in case you lose it. One device I like is the GPS by Garmin. It always gets us to the destination with the estimated time, and I find it more helpful than using the mileposts, which I think is more for people with RVs. I use sites like Expedia to find hotel rooms in the town I'm going to, the price, and the pet-friendly rooms. And then I get the phone number and write it down, and I grab the address off the internet and put it into my GPS device. It's pretty easy to do, and that way you know you're going exactly where you're supposed to be going and what time you plan to arrive there. If you are bringing a pet, make sure you call them so that you get a pet-friendly room and it's not booked up. Also, be sure to pack your dog treats and dog food and pee pads for the hotel if needed. I like to pack some food and snacks and drinks, especially having caffeine. And then I pack my emergency items to bring. Now you can get an emergency roadside kit, or you can buy the emergency items individually. And we usually do that route, getting the gas can, air compressor. You got to think about flat tires, or if you have to sleep in the car and have any kind of emergency come up. Also get a cooler just to keep our beverages chilled, any lunch meats we might have our purchase in Canada. And it's good to have these items. It gives you peace of mind. If you feel like you don't want to spend that much, hang on to the receipt and just return the emergency items when you get back home or at a Walmart in Alaska. Make sure you have enough space, disk space, your batteries are charged for your camera or your phone, and you can always email your vacation photos or back them up to your social media accounts so that you don't lose those important, beautiful photos while traveling. Use the ATMs in Canada to grab some Canadian cash, but also have some American cash on you as well. It's important to have both, as you will see later in this video. Because Canada is so long to get through, I would definitely have some music or an audiobook, something to listen to while you're on your road trip. Now, if you plan on taking somebody else's vehicle through Canada to Alaska, make sure they fill out some type of authorization form and sign it in front of a notary, because you will be asked at the border to make sure that you're not driving a stolen vehicle. Also have a copy of their ID or passport. Make sure you have the car serviced with an oil change and all the tires look good, including the spare tire. At the border, we always change our vehicle to kilometers per hour so that we don't risk getting any speeding tickets. And follow Canada rules. You can't have any weapons allowed. Some bear spray is, so ask at the border or read up on their website, which I will put a link in the description.
It's been a long day for change. It's been a long wait, but I'm not lost.
Take exit 170 on the right to Highway 1 East, then keep left.
My soul to save again. All my troubles away, and I'm not lost. I'm not lost. I'm on my way. I'm not lost, I'm on my way.
Because our metric system is different than Canada, one local taught us a tip to multiply the kilometers times 6 and then take the first 3 numbers to get an idea of how many more miles to go. One thing I like about driving the Canada highways is that they have a lot of pull-out areas with restrooms and garbage bins, because you don't really see a lot of those in Alaska. And I do like the fact that they also give you plenty of advance notice instead of Alaska, where all of a sudden you see a sign and then there's a pull-out area. So I like that about Canada. One of the stops along the way is Williams Lake. If you needed to take a restroom break or get some snacks or top off your fuel. And you'll know when some of these towns are bigger if you start seeing chain restaurants, chain hotels, and so forth along the highway as you get closer to the town. Another optional stop is the town of Quesnel. The S is silent. And in Quesnel, you'll also find some chain hotels, chain restaurants, so you know the town is a little bigger. It also has a Walmart, and it's not very far from the bigger town of Prince George. Prince George also has some chain restaurants, chain hotels, local restaurants, a Walmart, and This is usually the town that I would find a place to stay the night, but for this particular trip, we're pushing on to Fort Nelson. Going to be a really long day with both of us driving, and of course grabbing lunch at our favorite place, Tim Hortons, although there are other great places to eat there as well. After Chetwynd, you're going to start seeing signs for Dawson Creek. Now, this is the place where's the famous sign for the Alaska Highway that a lot of people like their photos with. You can drive, it's going to take about another extra half hour to get there. However, we use the GPS and just take a shortcut and go straight up north to get to Fort Nelson. I have driven the other route from Edmonton, Alberta, and Calgary, and I personally just don't like heavy traffic, very crowded cities. So that's why I opt to go from Washington to get to Alaska versus coming from the other way. But either way, the Alaska sign is not that far to get to if you do take this route. It was after 11:30 by the time we reached our hotel for the first night. One tip I highly recommend is to call your hotel if you know you're going to be arriving late to check in.
I've been here before, this happy ever after, knocking on a door, no one ever answers. Every stranger smile I carry in my mind's eye everywhere I go, headlong into mystery, following my history back home. Gonna hear my heartbeat like a rolling thunder. There's a fire starting where the wild things wander, where the wild things wander.
You will see plenty of warning signs before you hit the area where the bison are. Sometimes they're in multiple groups stretched out for miles, so take caution when driving through this area. And I would only recommend driving in the daytime versus at night. Along our journey, some locals informed us that the road had been shut down before the town of Watson Lake due to a washout. Other travelers had turned around and gone back to Prince George to take the Highway 37 route. We took a chance and decided to keep going, and thankfully, when we got there, Canada had acted quickly and created a detour to go through the woods to get around the washout. In Watson Lake, there are several gas stations to stop at. We usually stop at the one that's located at the further end of town, right across from the famous sign force, and you'll know when you get there when you see all the license plates. This gas station has a 24-hour card reader, so you can still get gas there even if it's late and the store's closed. It has a store, and it also has a deli if you wanted some food, a washer and dryer area, and then of course it has a washroom to use. When we went to gas up at this particular gas station, we were informed that the internet in a majority of Canada on the western side had been completely shut down. It was not working. The locals told us that there was you couldn't use the credit cards or the ATMs. The banks were closed because we got there in the evening. There was people sleeping out in their cars because they had no cash to get gas or food. Therefore, it's really important that you always carry both currency with you when you travel through Canada. We did have some cash on us, but they wouldn't take American dollars, so we went to the Highway 37 Junction store. Now, this is the store. Had we taken Highway 37 up, this would have been the junction you stop at. Anyhow, we stopped at the store there, and they were able to take our American dollars so we can get some more fuel, and then we headed on our journey to the next stop. We continued driving and reached the town of Teslin. Now, in the summertime, I think Teslin is just a beautiful area when the weather is sunny. There are 2 gas stations, and the one on the left side of the highway has a store, and then the one on the right that gas station has a motel, and it has a little restaurant inside, and it also has an RV park next to it with a gorgeous view of the water. At the store, they had a dial-up connection, so we were able to top off our fuel with our credit card and get some dinner before hitting the highway again. We arrived in Whitehorse late at night and were able to stay in our hotel that I had paid for days before when I booked online. So thankfully, the journey went well. We were able to get a good night's rest and have some good breakfast at a local restaurant the very next day. Whitehorse is a bigger town for that area as well. It's got a lot of restaurants and food places to eat, fast food places, gas stations all over, and also places like Walmart. The thing I like about Whitehorse is if you're leaving in the early morning or late in the evening, about an hour out of Whitehorse heading toward Alaska, there's an area where the wild horses, they're feral wild horses that have been there for a few decades. If you want to Google about them, I think they're just really beautiful, really neat to see. And I've gone through this area many times, but very, very few times have I got a chance to see the wild horses. And I love horses in general, so to see wild ones was absolutely just breathtaking. And I've seen them both in the summer and in the wintertime when I drove near the Whitehorse area.
to you I'll go. I know these stepping stones I've walked alone to you, my home. Now I stand by your side, oh, on our own time. Ooh, we'll be alright as long as we stay side by side. From the coldest nights to warmer degrees, we'll get by. You and I, side by side. And so
A few hours from Whitehorse is Destruction Bay. That also has a gas station, a gift shop, and a restaurant if you wanted to stop and grab some food there.
and now I'll keep you close. I hope you know I love you most. So here I walk by your side, oh, on our own time. Ooh, we'll be alright as long as we stay side by side. From the coldest nights to warmer degrees, we'll get by. You and I, side by side.
Beaver Creek is the last town to stop at in Canada before you cross the border. It is small, but it has a few gas stations, a motel, and a store.
As long as we stay side by side.
Not far from Beaver Creek is the Canada border, but this is for people leaving Alaska heading southbound. So you want to bypass this and drive about 19 more miles to get to the Alaska border and make sure you have your passport and any documents ready. As you get closer to the border, this is your chance to change your clock back 1 hour because Alaska is 1 hour behind Pacific, and this is also your chance to take a photo of the Welcome to Alaska sign, which will be on the left-hand side before you get to the border crossing. And it's a good chance to change your kilometers per hour back to miles per hour in your vehicle if needed.
We don't know where we're going, but we're on the run. We don't know where the road ends, but we're having fun. running scared, running free, full of life, got no money, yeah, that's us. 20-somethings.
Once you reach the town of Tok, you'll see Eddie's restaurant on the right hand side, which also owns Young's Motel, and this is a good chance for you to sit down and get some restaurant food or grab a room for the night if needed. They also have RV parks in this area, gas stations in Tok, and but however, this is the only restaurant you're going to see until about 4 to 6 hours away. Now, Tok is the place to decide, are you going to go southbound and connect to the Glen Highway to drive to Anchorage? Tok to Anchorage is about 5.5 to 6 hours away, but a very scenic drive and very beautiful. Just be careful early in the summer season. Watch out for caribou along the highway, but other than that, it's a gorgeous drive. Now, if you go in the direction from Tok to Fairbanks, it's about 4 hours away, and the official end to the Alaska Highway is located at Delta Junction, which is about 2.5 hours away. It's a beautiful drive as well, and just watch out for some of the areas. There's a little bit of frost heave, a little bit of bumps, but it takes about a little over 2 hours to get to the town of Delta Junction from Tok. And then from Delta Junction to Fairbanks would be about another 1.5 hour drive. And if you're looking for the official sign for the end of the Alaska Highway, look for the tower when you get to Delta Junction, which is going to be on your right hand side. And right before that, you'll see a turning lane to go left to Grizzly Lane. And that's the area where the visitor center is, so that you can see the sign if that's what you're looking for to get a photo with the end of the Alaska Highway. It was a little bit of confusion for me. I mean, I live in Alaska, but I've never actually driven to try to like find this particular sign until recently. So just to avoid any confusion, I'm giving you the tips on where the sign is located and how to get there. If you do bypass that tower, just go up, turn left, turn around, and you'll get back to it and find it. Thank you for watching my video and supporting my channel. And since you stuck with me this long, here are some bonus tips that I hope you find helpful or informative, as well as the video. And thanks again for watching my channel. Tip number 1, some gas stations in Canada and also Alaska in the remote areas do close in the early evening, so be prepared for that. Top off your fuel when you get a chance. And then also some of the older gas pumps, you have to lift a handle to start the pump to get some gas and then pay inside the store. I did see a few younger people kind of confused, didn't know how to operate it. Tip number 2 is to know the basics of changing a flat tire. I highly recommend learning how if you don't know how already, because Canada and Alaska is very remote and it may take a while for help to get to you. So just know the basics and have your tools with you, including a tire patch kit. Tip number 3 is to not drive a beat up car, or make sure it's operates well, have it fully serviced, checked out before you drive long distance, because Canada and Alaska is very remote along these highways. Tip number 4, I like to check out the local weather where I'm staying at a hotel, or ask the desk clerk or the gas station clerk, just ask the locals, hey, any road conditions I should be aware of? I'm heading this way, such and such, because you don't know if a road's going to be washed out, or if there's wildfires in the area, the direction you're going, or if there's any kind of storms. So really good to ask the locals and check the weather before driving. Tip number 5. Know that some of the hotels in Canada are really nice, but then there's also a lot along the highway that are just your basic type motel. Same with areas in Alaska. So don't expect anything too fancy. Also, you might want to pack your own toiletries just in case the motel doesn't have what you're looking for. Tip number 6, I put blankets on the list to pack because there could be a possibility where you have to sleep in your vehicle in case you get tired and need to pull over. So I highly recommend you do not overpack your vehicle. Leave room to recline in the front seats or have some room in the back. And don't overpack. There are laundromats in Canada and in Alaska, so I would definitely leave some room in case you have to sleep in the vehicle. Also, you never know, your hotel can give your room away accidentally and you have no place to sleep and you might have to sleep in the car for the night. I've seen that happen on a trip. Tip number 7, regarding cell service, I had good coverage in the bigger towns in Canada, such as Prince George and Whitehorse and so forth, Tok, Alaska. So I never felt the need to get like a sat phone or anything. But for those who are unfamiliar, never been through Canada before, or traveling alone, I would highly recommend at least getting an inReach device so that you can text if emergencies come up, because the area is very remote. Tip number 8, regarding the wildlife along the highways, let's keep them wild. Stay in your vehicles. Don't get out or get close to them. I know they look adorable, but just keep your distance. Don't feed them. And especially watch out for moose early in the mornings and late in the evenings, or where you see a lot of the signs that say, caution moose, to avoid any vehicle accidents. Tip number 9, I highly recommend that you change your lock screen on your phone to include a second number of a family member or friend, or your email, because, well, first of all, it sucks to lose your cell phone, but second of all, to lose your beautiful vacation photos or videos would just be devastating. So while you're traveling, you can back those up to your email them to yourself, or you can post it to your social media account. If you don't know how to change a lock screen, just put a piece of paper with your other info in it in the case for the phone. So in case somebody finds it, they can have a way to contact you to try to get your phone back to you. And tip number 10, to save some money on a trip to Alaska, I highly recommend that you go off shoulder season, such as early to mid-May or later in the fall, when the rates are cheaper for the hotels and also for the gas and car rentals. The summer of 2022 was the highest yet that I have ever seen. Gas was very expensive in Anchorage because of what was going on in the world, and also I saw hotel rooms in Anchorage going from $500 to $900 a night as they got booked. Last year we did 2 trips, early May and early July, and for the last trip it was a little over $1,300 one way back to Alaska, but it was still cheaper than taking a ferry. Well guys, that's all the tips I have for you. I really hope you found this video informative or helpful, and please feel free to share a comment if you have any other tips that are useful to future travelers of Alaska. Be sure to check out my other videos where I talk about all things Alaska, what to do, best time to come, and what it's like driving the Alaska highways within the state of Alaska. Thank you.